So let's get down to business. So we have the we're told to evaluate the limit as x tends to infinity of 2x plus 1 all to the 40 into what multiplied by 4x minus 1 all to the 5 over 2x plus 3 all to the 45. So yeah, this is a typical example under limits at infinity of what? Of rational functions. So what are rational functions? A rational function is a what? Is a ratio of two polynomials. So any function written in the form of what? P of x over what? Over q of x is a rational function. So you will now be like, this guy is not looking like a polynomial now. When you expand this 2x plus 1 all to the 40, if you expand it using binomial theorem, you get a polynomial. 4x minus 1 all to the 5. If you expand it using binomial theorem, you get a polynomial. And the product of two polynomials will always give rise to another polynomial. So saying what? This question is under what? The limit at infinity of rational functions is actually quite correct. So what do you do when you see this type of questions? So the best thing to do when you see this type of questions is that you factorize the highest power of x in the numerator and you factorize the highest power of x in your denominator, like the variable you are dealing with. In this scenario, it is what? It is x. So what I'm trying to say is that you factorize the highest power of x in the numerator here and you factorize the highest power of the of x in the denominator here also. But you see that we have something like product of powers of linear functions here, 2x plus 1 to the 40. So how do you go about it? You factorize the highest power that the expansion of this guy can ever produce. The highest power of x, the expansion of this guy can ever produce, and the highest power of x, the expansion of this guy can ever produce. So yeah, 2x plus 1 all to the 40. The highest power of x this guy can ever produce is actually x to the 40. This one is x to the 5. This one is what? X to the 45. So now let's get down to the business. So yeah, so this will just be what? This will be equal to the limit as x tends to what? Infinity of, now we'll factorize what? X to the 40 here, but it's not that easy. It's not that simple. So now we'll do something. Follow me. So we have 2x plus what? Plus 1, right? If you factorize x from here, factorizing x means you are dividing this guy and this guy by what? By x. So that's x into what? 2x over x. That will be what? X cancels x. It remains 2 plus 1 over x. Nothing will cancel. It will remain that, right? Now don't forget that this guy had a what? A power of 40, right? Now all these guys will now have a what? A power of 40. Follow me. Are you with me? Stay with me. So now you'll now be like, okay, how? Don't forget that x multiplied by what? 2 plus 1 over x is actually 2 plus 1. 2x plus 1 rather. So this whole guy is representing what? 2x plus 1. And this power, I've put it there. So follow me. Now, there's a law of indices that says that what? A times b all to the n is equals to a to the n times b to the n. So x multiplied by what? 2 plus 1 over x all to the 40 is the same thing as x to the 40 into what? 2 plus 1 over x to the what? To the 40. So that means 2x plus 1 all to the what? All to the 40 is the same thing as what? X to the 40 into what? Into 2 plus 1 over x to the what? To the 40 multiplied by. Now what about 4x minus 1 all to the 5? We can also what? You write that. So yeah, let's take 4x minus 1 first and factorize x from it, right? You factorize the highest power of x from it, which is x actually. So yeah, that's what? X into what? 4x over x is what? 4 minus 1 over x. Now don't forget that what? Everything had a what? A power of what? Of 5, right? Applying this rule again, this will be what? X to the 5 into what? Into 4 minus 1 over x to the 5. Don't mind this guy. Let's box it out. Yeah. So follow me. Over what? Over. Now we have 2x plus 3 all to the what? 45. So follow me. So 2x plus 3. Factorize the highest power of x from it, which is actually x. So that's x into the what? 2 plus 3 over x. Now don't forget that everything had a what? A power of 45 is raised to 45. So that will be what? X to the 45. X to the 45 into what? 2 plus 3 over x to the what? To the 45. Are you with me? Stay with me. So now, yeah, I jumped a step actually. And this was because I knew that this is what we have to do. The first thing to do whenever you have any limit questions is that you throw in you evaluate the value of this function at that value that your x is tending to. What I'm trying to say is that you use direct substitution. You put infinity in everything. But since this is actually the limit at infinity of what? Of rational functions, I knew that what I will get is actually either infinity over infinity or any other indeterminate form. Do you get? So that's why I just went straight to this. But please kindly take note of that. So let's continue. This is just be what? Now let's simplify. We have x to the 40 here. We have x to the 45. And we have over x to the what? 45 here. We apply the what? The law of indices, right? Follow me. So that will be equals to the what? The limit as x tends to what? Infinity of x to the 40 plus 5 minus 45. So I will say how? This is what? Law of indices actually. This is basically the law of indices, right? So let's continue. Yeah. So this is what? In accordance with the law of indices. Now what do we have left? 2 plus 1 over x to the 40. Write it out. 2 plus 1 over x all to the 40. And we also have 4 minus x all to the 5. 4 minus 1 over x, sorry, all to the what? All to the 5 over 2 plus 3 over x all to the what? 45. So this is just be what? The limit as x tends to what? Infinity of 40 plus 5. 45. 45 minus 45. 0. X to the 0 is what? 1. So that is gone. So what do we have left? We have 2 plus 1 over x to the 40, or to the 40 rather, into what? 4 minus 1 over x, all to the 5, over what? Over 2 plus 3 over x, all to the 45. So now let's use what? Direct substitution now. So using direct substitution. So what does that mean? We just, anywhere we see x, we put infinity. Sure you get. Now what is 1 over infinity? Now, infinity is actually kind of a special value. Is what? Is a special value. And its definition is what? Is such that on the real number system, so far a number is a real number, it will always be what? It will always be what? Less than positive infinity, and it will always be greater than what? Negative infinity. Do you get? So far a number is a real number, it will always be less than what? Positive infinity, and it will always be what? Greater than negative infinity. So that is the definition of a real number actually. Real numbers are this number, like all real numbers just lie in between what? Positive infinity and negative infinity. So what I'm trying to say is that infinity is that, should I say, points on the real number system that you cannot reach. You get? So now 1 over 1000 is what? 0.001. 1 over 1 million is what? 0.000001. So now what am I trying to say? The limit as x tends to infinity of 1 over x is that value that 1 over x approaches as x approaches infinity. Do you get? That is as x gets bigger and bigger in the positive direction. So now we did 1 over 1000, we got 0.001. We did 1 over 1 million, we got 0.00001. Now if you do 1 over 1 billion, you still get a number that is tending closer and closer to 0. You see that if you press your calculator, 1 over 10 to the what? 24 will actually give you what? 0. Or yeah, that should give you 0. Or maybe you should press 1 over 10 to the 100. How you get? It will give you what? 0. Because it will keep moving closer and closer to what? To 0. And that's actually what limit is about, right? The value, the output of the function is approaching as the input of the function approaches a what? A certain value. Do you get? So now follow me. So what I'm trying to say is that what? The limit as x tends to infinity of 1 over x is 0. How you get? So this will just be what? 2 plus 1 over x is what? 0 into what? 4 minus, now 1 over x, the limit of what? 1 over x as x tends to infinity is still 0. 5 all to the 5. 2 plus 3 over x, 0 all to the what? 45. So this will just be 2 to the 45 multiplied by 2 or 2 to the 2 all to the 40 all to the 5 over 2 to the 45. 4 is same thing as what? 2 to the 2, right? Now don't forget that there is a power of 5 here. So this is just be what? 2 to the what? 45 multiplied by 2 to the 10 over 2 to the 45. Sorry, this is 40 actually. This 40. So this is 40. Are you with me? Stay with me. So this is just be what? Like, how did I get 10 here? 2 times 5. A to the n or to the m is what? A to the n times m. Sure you get. So 2 to the 2 or to the 5 is what? 2 to the 2 times 5, which is 10. So now applying the law of indices, just be 2 to the what? 40 plus 10 minus 45. And this will be what? 2 to the 5, which is what? 32.